What's going on, Perform24 family? Levi Jaeckel back in the garage, back with another video. The fact that I'm making a video is good news. The bad news is that I wasn't making videos for a little while because my wife and I were both sick. I was pretty sick. I would say that I was as sick as I've been as an adult, but she was very, very sick, like shocking sick. And I'm still a little shook up by how intense her situation got there for a little while. So I kind of went back and forth on whether or not I should make this video and how I should make this video. But essentially, I just want to share with you what I'm doing for myself, and then what I am doing for my wife to get us training, back into our training routine after being sick with COVID, like we were over the last couple weeks. So we're about, I don't know, a week or 10 days removed from our symptoms, and both of our cases are very different. So that's kind of my big takeaway here from our personal experience, is that nobody really knows what's going on, and I think anybody that tells you exactly what's going on and has all the answers probably doesn't really know. Because my wife and I, we live very, very similar lives. We train very similarly. We eat very similarly. And we're two separate people, and we had two very different experiences. So, that's my big takeaway. Everybody's going to be different. But here is what we are doing to kind of get back into our training routine. These are the things that we're thinking about. These are the strategies that we are implementing. And so maybe you can take some of these tips or take some of the lessons that we're learning and apply them to your situation. Hopefully your situation wasn't as bad as hers. Hopefully it wasn't even as bad as mine was. But here we are. This is the world that we live in, and unfortunately a lot of people are going through this. So I figured I would make this, at least share our experience. Please do not take this as like any type of gold standard or anything like that. This is just sharing our own personal decisions here. All right, so today I'm going to talk about why you should start training again after COVID, when you should start training again, and then how you should start training again. And again, please, I'm not a doctor, okay? I don't have all the answers. I don't know the first thing about anything, right? I'm just an idiot on YouTube. So please, just take all this with a grain of salt. Maybe take one or two tips and use them in your own life. Be smart with this, right? So this is my own personal experience. This is how I'm handling this. But this is by no means some type of like gold standard or magic pill. Please be smart and handle your own health accordingly. So let's talk about why you should start training again after COVID. There's kind of two parts to this. The first is a mental benefit, a psychological benefit, and then the second is a physical benefit. So if you have a regular training routine already, which people that follow this channel most likely have a regular training routine, they are interested in taking care of themselves. When that regular routine or that regular element of your routine gets taken from you, it is just a big, kind of mind mess here. Like, you do not feel like yourself. So, you need to be getting back to your regular training routine as soon as you can, obviously healthily, that's not really a word, safely and wisely, but you need to be getting back into that regular training routine to get your mind back and to kind of get your mojo back. And I think that that's not really talked about a lot, but your training routine is part of who you are. And so we need to get that back, right? So we need to take care of your brain, and we need to get you back doing the things that you enjoy doing. And then secondly, kind of on the psychological side, it's going to give you like an action that you can take. And again, like taking action in your recovery is going to make you feel better. So if you're getting back into your training routine and you're kind of easing yourself back into this training, it is going to feel like you are doing something active, like you are taking an active step towards your recovery, and it's going to give you a sense of control over that recovery, which, if you have been sick, unfortunately, you probably felt completely out of control. Both my wife and I were vaccinated. We thought that we took the proper steps to, not get sick, and then here we are getting very sick. And so like we felt like an extreme loss of control in the situation. And once you start training again afterwards, there's kind of like there's an element of you like kind of chipping away and taking your life back. And again, I just think that that's very good for your psyche. And then on the physical side, this is kind of obvious. We don't know everything about COVID. The doctors don't know everything. The experts don't know everything. And the things that they do know sometimes has changed or sometimes has evolved over time. But we do know that it's like a cardiovascular stress and it's a respiratory stress. And so the training that you're going to start doing is going to start building that internal system back up. You took a nasty hit getting COVID. And we need to start building that back up. So there's an obvious physical benefit to getting your training back. We're going to talk about when you should start training. First of all, if you're going back to a public gym, please do not be an idiot. Please go back once it's safe for you to go back. Please do not get anybody else sick. If you were sick, you know that it can suck. Please do not spread that suck around, right? So if you're going to a public space, please make sure that you're not going to get anybody else sick. That's the first thing. Now, second thing, if you have a garage space or a home gym space, or if you're training in a way that you can be isolated, personally, my wife and I waited until we did not have a fever. The first day that I did not have a fever, I was doing a little bit of work on the bike. My wife, like I said, her case was much more intense than mine. She waited a full day without a fever before she started training on that second day fever-free. So she needed a little extra time of just pure recovery after kicking that fever to start training again. Now again, you've got to have a little bit of wisdom with this, right? So if you have any type of underlying issues or previous health issues, throw all of that out the window. You probably should be talking to an expert. I am not an expert in that field. Both my wife and I were healthy, and so as soon as we felt like we could handle a little bit of work, we kind of both started to get to work as soon as we could. But please be wise here. So I have a saying that I use with athletes that have been injured, and they've kind of gone through their rehab protocol with their physical therapist, and then they're coming and seeing me, kind of taking that next step between rehab and full performance. And I always tell them, like, let's be smart and let's do this right the first time. Let's not push too hard and then put ourselves in a hole, which then is going to take us twice as long to climb out of that, right? So apply the same logic here. Please be patient, be slow, and let's do this right the first time. Okay, the third question that I'm going to answer is how you should start training again after COVID. And this is going to be, very, very ambiguous, right? This could be a case-by-case situation for sure. Your training history is a massive variable in how you should come back. And so obviously I don't know what your previous training history is, so I can't give you a really good answer. But both my wife and I were pretty highly trained going into this. And so coming out of this, we can kind of, I don't know, being aggressive is not the right word, but we can certainly start to regularly train afterwards. And so the mantra that I've kind of been using with her and with myself is frequency takes priority. So we want to train frequently, and frequency is going to take precedence and take priority over intensity and duration, okay? So we want to be training frequently rather than training really hard or really long. And that can even mean multiple small sessions a day. So 2 20-minute sessions a day might be more appropriate than one 45-minute session or something similar to that. And training every day for 30 minutes is going to be a little bit more beneficial in this situation, I think, than training for an hour every other day. So getting that frequency in, getting that heart rate going, kind of getting your body breathing, and getting its confidence back regularly is the key here. I think if you push too hard, and again, you're not going to be able to recover like you normally do, so if you push too hard, you're going to put yourself in a hole. And I think that that's going to just completely ruin any chance of a quicker comeback. Also, something that I've found a lot of benefit in over the last week and a week and a half or so is that I have really been focusing on strictly my cardiovascular endurance. I don't usually do that. Again, if you kind of follow my content, you know that I'm mostly training the weights. Sometimes the cardio that I get is from rucking or something similar. I haven't rucked at all. I just don't want to be out in the sun and getting up early before the sun rises. Like, I need to be sleeping right now instead of getting up early. So I've been sleeping a little bit more instead of getting up early and training. and then I haven't been out in the sun. So I've been riding the bike strictly for conditioning, and I've been doing a variety of 20 to 30, now starting to do some like 40-minute purely cardiovascular workouts on the bike. And then I've just been doing like very light body weight only. I did like a bunch of like calisthenic stuff to begin with, 20 minutes worth of calisthenic stuff for the first 4 or 5 days. And now I'm starting to add in like a little bit of barbell complex, but still not any huge, heavy, intense compound movements at all. I just don't want to stress my muscular system that hard right now. I just want to try to build my cardiovascular and my respiratory system back up and bring my work capacity back up. So I'm trying to raise the floor of my work capacity right now before I start training, hard on the weights or anything like that. So again, I do work with professional athletes and they do get injured, and so I have this conversation, relatively frequently in my professional life, but you're not going to lose a whole lot of progress or whole lot of like physical capacity in a couple weeks, unless your case is super bad, which if your case is super bad, you shouldn't be watching YouTube videos. You should be talking to a doctor about how to get back. But anyways, if you're like a big bodybuilder or a big power lifter or something like that, and you typically train in intense ways, just keep in mind that you're not going to make that much of a loss in a couple weeks. You're going to be better off in the long run by working back slowly, and then just trusting all the work that you did before you got sick. That's a really important factor. If you put in a ton of work and you felt very good about where you were at, all that work still counts. You don't lose all the work that you've done for the previous 6, 7, 8 months. All those gains are still going to be there once your work capacity comes back. So spend a little time, getting that heart healthy, getting those lungs healthy, and then you can go back to, slamming your bodybuilding or slamming your powerlifting. It'll still be there, I promise. And then finally, this is kind of a funny point that I want to make. And again, like, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. You're not going to ever hear me give nutrition advice or diet advice. Even like the athletes that I do work with face to face, they kill me when I say this because I just don't do it. Nutrition just frustrates me, and so I don't give nutrition advice ever. I'm not even the best at following it myself, so I'm not going to deliver it. But in this circumstance, both my wife and I did lose our sense of taste and smell. I still don't have any taste or any smell. And so what I decided to do is that I'm just going to eat ridiculously clean. I'm going to eat like seriously healthy because like I can't even taste the bad food that I would usually be tempted by anyways. And so, that's also, I think, going to help me, maintain, progress that I've made. Is just that like my diet right now is probably the best it's ever been. That's just because I can't taste the bad food that I would typically, be sneaking in or cheating with. So, you might be experiencing something like that. And I just think that that's kind of humorous. The situation that I'm at is that, I got sick, but now I'm eating like very clean. But it's not because I'm disciplined. It's just because I don't see the benefit in eating something bad that I can't even enjoy. So that's just kind of a funny side point here that I do think it might be beneficial for you. All right, so that's going to wrap up today's video. Like I said, I kind of went back and forth on whether or not I should make this, but this is just how I'm handling my own recovery, and I'm handling my wife's recovery on why we need to get back to training, when we should get back to training, and then how we should get back to training. Hopefully, all of you guys are, staying very, very healthy in your own lives, and you don't even need to think about this, but if you did, I figured I would at least share our personal experience and kind of our personal process here over the last couple weeks. I do have a couple videos coming up. I'm going to do a really big review on the Peloton. We've been Peloton users for 2.5 years, so we've got a really good feel for how that Peloton can fit into like a really well-rounded training routine. So I have a video coming soon about that Peloton. And then I'm also going to talk about weightlifting belts in a video as well. So, if you want to keep an eye out for those, I would appreciate a subscription to the YouTube channel. If you found this video helpful, obviously a thumbs up or a comment goes a long ways. As always, I appreciate you guys. Train hard, live full, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video. Out.